Hi there, meteorologist Chris Vickers. We have this weather update coming to you out of Hurricane Milton. Latest advisory numbers that were updated right at 8 o'clock. Winds 165. This moving east-northeast at 10 miles per hour. Pressure's now dropped to 902. This is a sign that Milton continues its intensification. Still a major Category 5 hurricane. And we're talking a little over 24 hours before it does make its approach to the Florida coastline. Major impact still going to be expected with this one. About 440 miles.
I just realized I don't think I've shown everybody this room yet. So when I'm home, I spend a lot of my time in this room. This is my office/studio. Diesel spends a lot of his time here. As you can see, he knows exactly where to go. But workstation, this is where when I work from home, I do that over here. When I edit my videos, I do that over here. When I work out, on the occasion that I do that over here. I've got, it doesn't usually look like this, but I've got some power stations charging for the hurricane and things like that. But got my guitars and my basses over here. My amplifiers. I've got some of my graphic novels in here. My books that are not graphic novels, again, some of them over there. And when I do my voiceover, I have right now this setup. I've got a better setup for more professional pieces, but I've torn that down at the moment. I'm not going to be using it for a little bit. So this kind of gives you an idea as to where I usually get things done. So with the hurricane right around the corner, we are working from home today, both my wife and myself. The kids are off of school. Just basically a day to sort of prepare, but at the same time still working. So I'm getting ready to log on and do my daily things. It's maybe about 9:15 right now, and I'm on my first cup of coffee, even though I've been up since about 6:30 this morning. That's kind of a rarity. Had to go out and pick up some last-minute groceries before the storm, so it's a late coffee, but any coffee is a good coffee. Some are better than others, admittedly. I've got a couple of last-minute errands I need to run today before things get too crazy. So I figured, oh wow, looks like a tree has already toppled back there. It's not that windy, but we did have a hurricane last week. As you can see here in Central Florida, what we lack in oceans, we more than make up for in large trees. Thankfully, I don't have a whole lot of reason to get on the highway today. I have been told by credible sources, some of which you know, that the highways heading out of Orlando, I-4, for all of you who are used to I-4 and how crazy it normally is worse than usual today. Apparently, it is just completely gridlocked. Heading north, all the way from Tampa through Orlando and up to the point where 4 switches over to 95 or whatever it is up by Daytona. So very happy I don't have to deal with that portion today. Today it's just back roads. One of the tricks of dealing with these impending hurricanes is knowing just how cautious you really should be. There's a level of safety you want to make sure you have in place. There's a level of taking it seriously that is healthy, and then there's a level, of course, that takes things way out of context, and people, they hoard things, they cause accidents, they do crazy things. The trick is knowing where that line is. Having said that, I am going to make a quick stop into one of our very many local Publix grocery stores, and there's a couple small things that I want to see if they still have soup and things like that. But let's bring the camera in and quietly and respectfully just see how crazy things are. All right, we are coming around the corner. Let's see how nuts this parking lot is. Okay, so not terrible. Admittedly, this is a little full for this parking lot, but it's not insane by any means. Anybody else, by the way, hear the chime of either Google Chat or Microsoft Teams and feel a little anxiety every time? Of course, this is going to be the true test. What lies inside? Well, this pretty much says it all, doesn't it? Okay, not terrible. You can buy one, get one, a whole bunch of mixed nuts, you know. Unrefrigerated protein, that's always good, right? As you can see, the soup aisle is very busy and very popular. Sports drinks are unsurprisingly picked over. As I showed you earlier, we do not need toilet paper or paper towels, but I'm going to show you the aisle, of course, anyways. Seen better days. I find it funny that you could still get plenty of Dasani. But here in Winter Springs, Florida at least, there's still a good amount of water here. Bread, of course, always a popular one, and chips. Got to get your hurricane snacks. Keeping it simple, just 2 things of V8, some caffeine drops in case I can't make coffee, and the peanut butter. Limit 2 per customer, but they have a lot of it, so, you know, it's not as bad as people have made it out to be just yet. Of course, then you run into things like this. What do you think? Should we buy some shrimp cocktail and live dangerously? Supplies in hand. It's time to head back to the homestead. And with any luck, won't have to go back out for any more supplies. I have now been in Orlando, or the greater Orlando area now for, I guess in a couple of months it will be 12-ish years. Is that right? Yeah, I guess it'd be 12 years. One nice thing about living in Orlando during the hurricanes is that there's no storm surge, thankfully. We do have a lot of lakes and a lot of rivers. In fact, we have more lakes and rivers in this area than most parts of Florida. Not all of them, but most of them. So we do still see some flooding, but not like ocean flooding. Actually, right over there, by the way, you can see people getting in line to buy sand, or to fill free sandbags. But anyways, we don't get the same kind of flooding that they do, but we do tend to get a lot of tornadoes blowing through. So that's really the biggest fear that most people have here. That, and of course the power going out, because while the power could go out, and that's not life-threatening in itself, as long as you're not hooked to a respirator or something like that, it still gets up to 80, 90 degrees every day here in October. So things like that can get uncomfortable very quickly. As you can see, the skies are starting to get just a little darker up ahead. It's still sunny, but in the distance, it's definitely starting to get a little bit darker, especially when you look that direction. Looking down there, that's towards like the theme parks. That would be more like southeast. I'm sorry, southwest. Southwest. Got my souths mixed up. Just turned north. As you can see, going north, it's much clearer. A lot of blue skies, beautiful blue skies. They call it the sunshine state here in Florida, but for those of you who haven't spent much time here, we usually have a ton of sun in the mornings, but we usually cloud up pretty good throughout the day. We have a lot of rain and overcast days here in Florida. But coming from Cleveland originally, where we had more overcast days than just about anybody, this still seems pretty nice. Definitely going to enjoy these last few moments of nice weather here. Again, I gotta say, I know I've said this before, I'm gonna say it again. I think that northern Orlando area, Seminole County especially, is absolutely gorgeous. The amount of greenery we have is just, to a guy that's used to only having green between the months of May and September, and to know that we have this all year long, I'm a grateful, grateful person. By the way, take a look at the blue tarps on that house. You're going to see a lot more of that coming up. These storms destroy a lot of roofs in Orlando. Well, we are currently at about 2:30 p.m. on Tuesday. I wanted to show you. Backyard is very bright, very sunny, but as you can see from the sky, we are definitely starting to get a little darker. Putting together some foods while we still can to have for the next several days. Got our little basket of flashlights and power, and a bunch of old water bottles that we've refilled and we're putting in here to freeze. Just to give you an idea, this is about where we are right now. On Tuesday, 2:40 p.m., they are now saying that Wednesday, it'll come close to Florida, Wednesday at 8 p.m., so it's a little over 12 hours from now, with sustained winds at 125 miles per hour. Looks like we, here in Orlando, you see it goes a little bit south of us, they are guessing a Category 2, which as I understand is about 100 mile per hour sustained winds, before it turns into a 1 and then leaves the general Florida vicinity and moves back out to sea. None of those are good. All right, we have now gotten to about 6:30 p.m. We took a few more things off of the porch. I think we're about ready at this point. But as you can see, the skies are definitely starting to get a little more overcast, a little darker. Most recently, we're hearing that the storm was a Category 5. It dropped off of being a Category 5, and it is now re-strengthened to be a Category 5. Not sure I've ever seen one do that as it's coming towards us, but first time for everything. What I can tell you is that right now they've shifted the model, as these things tend to do. They're saying that we should start seeing rain here in Orlando around 10 p.m. this evening, and it'll keep going through a bit after the storm passes us. The storm itself should probably, if it follows the current model, strike south of us here in Orlando, more towards like Kissimmee or Polk County, which is, I think half an hour, 45 minutes away from the greater Orlando area. And they're saying probably Wednesday, late Wednesday through late Thursday is when we'll see the most of it. So I think we're going to call it for tonight.
But it's also important to note that you don't want to get hung up on this great weakening. It's not going to be a great weakening. It's going to be a powerful storm that's just not as intense as it once was. So it's still going to be quite large, not only with intensity, but it is going to grow in size as well. We're talking doubling the size that it's at now.
Good morning. Wednesday, 7:25 a.m. We are now starting to see the rains move into the area. As you can see, there's not much to say in terms of wind at this point. But as I understand it, the outer banks of the storm have now reached Manatee County and Sarasota and Bradenton and all of those areas. And it's getting a little dicey down there, but we still have several hours before the worst of it even approaches us. We are now at about 10 a.m. here on Wednesday. As you can see, it's still raining, but it's not bad by any means. Kind of like a drizzle at the moment, but the winds are starting to kick in just a slight bit. As you may be able to see from looking at some of the plant leaves, they're starting to move just a little bit, nothing bad. As of right now, they're calling for about 180 mile per hour winds and gusts, at least, coming in through Sarasota, about 140 mile per hour sustained winds in some areas. When you move out towards the ocean, obviously, it gets much worse. They're now calling for 15-foot storm surges in Sarasota. They have evacuated most of the coastal area. Tampa is under an evacuation order for much of the area. As I understand, there's already quite a bit of flooding in Tampa coming in already. 60-foot waves out in the ocean is what I'm hearing. And again, this whole thing has not even reached Florida in earnest yet. Here in Orlando, much better than what they're dealing with. They're saying that we could here in Seminole County get maybe 100-mile-per-hour winds, probably more like 80 sustained, unless things change. As of right now, they're still calling for this thing to go south of us. Polk County, Kissimmee, St. Cloud, areas like that are going to get hit worse than we are right now. But here in Seminole County, they did do an evacuation notice maybe about an hour, 2 hours ago, telling people that if you are in a manufactured home, or if you live on the St. John River or any of the other flood-prone areas, or if you are dealing with some sort of physical impairment that makes it hard for you to get around, they did want to evacuate all of those folks. So otherwise, they are asking us to generally try to hunker down and stay off the roads so that emergency vehicles and people who are leaving that have to leave because they're in really bad areas can get out. So at 10 a.m., that's the report. Let's see if the next one is quite as optimistic. 10:30 a.m., things have definitely changed a little bit. The outer bands of the storm are starting to reach us, and as you can see, the wind is picking up a little bit, and the rain has really picked up quite a bit. This is a full-on rain rather than a drizzle like we had before. Right, Lola? All right. Did a little bit more picking up. Got a few things down that could become projectiles. See, some of the neighbors have boarded up their windows, which may be, it might be overly cautious for this area. I'm hoping it is, but I certainly understand. And as you can see, it's just really coming down. And from what I've seen, it's not supposed to stop coming down like this until Friday, maybe Saturday, give or take. I figured probably not a bad time to take a look at the current hurricane map, put everything in perspective. So from what I'm seeing here, and this is at 12:33 p.m. on a Wednesday, looks like the hurricane right now is probably somewhere in this region right here. Started off this morning, 8 a.m. over here. Right here is Sarasota, St. Petersburg. Fort Myers is down here. Fort Myers has been seeing a lot of tornadoes already this morning. And as much as it looks like the red area is where the hurricane is going to hit, that's just like the strongest part of the hurricane. As I understand, as far south as Key West right now, they're starting to see some of the tropical storm force winds blow in. So it's definitely affecting the entire state, not just the areas in red. Red just happens to be the path of the concentrated portion of the hurricane. So Sarasota right here, like I said, Tampa's up here. This entire region through here on the Gulf has been either evacuated or they've at least told everyone to evacuate. They're telling the rest of us, don't evacuate. If you were further inland, keep that space on the roads open. Let me zoom in just slightly. Bradenton right here was originally supposed to be the epicenter, but it has moved south. As of maybe about an hour ago, they were saying Sarasota was the epicenter. Now it's starting to move a little further south towards Venice. Venice Beach, that's all right in this area right here. Port Charlotte is right over here. St. Petersburg, that's where the Rays play. Clearwater, Tampa. Lakeland is over here. And then, as you can see, Orlando is right up here. A little further south, Kissimmee. So if you're looking at the Disney theme parks, you're probably right in this area right here. Universal is a little further up. Looking at the arrow, let's call this right here Disney. This is closer to Universal right through here. Where I am right now, is closer up here. As you can see, let me zoom in just slightly more. We are in Seminole County right now. And Seminole County, we are in this area right through here. We are outside of the red area just slightly, so we will still get pounded, but we're not going to have it the eye passed right over us like a lot of other people are. But we are literally just a couple miles away from it. This is the current weather map for our area. I'm going to go ahead and hit play so you can kind of get an idea as to what's happening. Now we are in the white area, but as you can see, it's about to get kind of rough here. About 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon on Wednesday, we just had what could only be described as an unusually long roll of thunder. It was one of those low rumbles that you get when the thunder is far away, but it went on for probably about 20 seconds, which is unusual to say the least. So, not entirely sure what that's all about. As you can see, though, it's still just kind of coming down. The rain is drenching everything. Still have our groundwater sitting there, but the wind is blowing a little bit in bursts, but then it'll stop and nothing will happen for a while. So as it stands right now, we are still supposedly hours away from the worst of it. A little bit more thunder, some lightning. As you can see, the trees are starting to dance just a little bit. It's another very long rumble. Still going. Still going. So not a ton of it, but man, when these thunder rumbles come through, I mean, that one was more than 30 seconds long, which is unusual to say the least, for us at least. As you can see, the wind actually slowed down a little bit with that rumble. Just very odd. As you can see, the pets are perfectly fine and hardly worried about things, although Lola, you've got your thunder jacket on, don't you? Vicious pit bull. I just found this. This is a live webcam of Siesta Key Beach, which is in Sarasota. Let me refresh it. Keeps on timing out, which I'm sure the signal is a little wonky at the moment. Yeah, there it goes again. But as you can see, Siesta Key doesn't look terrible just yet. Right here we have the Epcot live cam. Looks like it's staring out over some of the Epcot resorts. Very wet. You can see the trees are moving a little bit, but again, nothing terrible. This is Disney Springs. You see a few cars are going by there, but not a whole lot. Pretty sure the resort is generally shut down, but obviously there's still travelers and people who work there that are going to be going back and forth. This is the Icon Park webcam. For those of you who don't know Icon Park, not surprising, they change their name quite often. But this is where the big Ferris wheel is. If you've come to Orlando at all in the last, call it 10 years or so, you've seen the giant Ferris wheel. That is over here. As you can see, very foggy and rainy. This is I-4 right along here, and in terms of the people going south, not a whole lot there. North will be a lot busier. Have a webcam right here. This is in Winter Garden, Florida. A couple of cars going by. Looks like there's a couple cars parked It's very unusual to see Winter Garden this quiet. So Winter Garden, for those of you who aren't familiar, hey, there goes a guy on a bike. For those of you who aren't terribly familiar, Winter Garden is a southwestern suburb of Orlando. A lot of people who work for Disney live in Winter Garden because it's fairly quick and easy to get over there. Beautiful town, though. Beautiful downtown area. Very historic. Switching over to the Tampa webcams, this one is at the University of Tampa. This is the riverfront. You'll see the camera, looks like it's dancing. That would be sheets of water coming across the lens, I believe. Tampa is certainly getting hit quicker and more strongly than we are, at least thus far. But I will say this, considering what they've been saying would happen to Tampa, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be by this point. It's still a long way to go in the storm, obviously, but for the time being, this is better than I figured. Switching back to a Sarasota webcam, this is near downtown, but kind of looking out over the ocean. As you can see, it's coming down. There are waves of rain. I don't know if you could see it with the digital nature of everything, but there are bands of rain. I see one security vehicle that has been driving by, but that's about it. 4:30 p.m. and the real rain, or what I'm going to refer to as the real rain, has certainly shown up. It's now what I would call a bit of a downpour. It could get worse, obviously, but it is really coming down. The wind has been blowing it in sheets, coming in sideways a lot. As you can see, it's still relatively clear, well, not clear, but light in the skies. But it's coming down, and it's coming right at us. All right, outdoor sofa taken care of. Bands of rain and wind kicking in. Starting to get real out here, folks. All right, 5:17 p.m. Things have very, very noticeably picked up. You could probably see the rain running across the roof, across the backyard here. Sheets, torrential sheets. You could see the palm fronds are really moving quite a bit. We have picked up everything from our patio that we can pick up at this point. Placed a lot of stuff inside. But as you can see, the wind is starting to, even right here, the wind is blowing the water onto the porch. We have something sticking to the top up there that was not there before. I'm not entirely sure what that is. But as you can see, it is really starting to come down here in Orlando. And considering it's only been an hour since it was just raining, I would say that things have escalated. Watching the news now, tornadoes are coming in left and right. There's actually 4 tornadoes going right now in the viewing area of Orlando. Looks like most of it is over at the Cocoa Beach area. They just said that there was a 3-mile wide debris ball. I could only imagine what that's going to look like. But looks like most of this so far of the tornado activity is south of here or east of here. Kind of went around us mostly. 6:11 p.m. now, and things have greatly calmed down. The rain is back to what I would call a drizzle. The wind, as you can see behind me, is still there, but it's not like it was a half hour ago. We're watching the news still. There are still tornadoes. There's a hurricane, I don't know if you heard about that, but there are tornadoes popping up all over the place in Broward County, which is like Cocoa Beach and Melbourne. It's where the cruise ships take off from, and also where we send up a lot of the rockets. So they are getting hit right now. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the night goes. They are getting hit before we are, which is definitely, well, to me at least, unexpected. Well, it's nighttime. It's 7:10 p.m. here on a Wednesday. As you can see, wind isn't all that bad right now. I say that, and the tree looks like it's tipping over there. But regardless, the rain has really calmed down a little bit. We are sort of in between things right now. The first band has passed us. The eye of the storm is currently just starting to make landfall over Sarasota, Bradenton area, moving up towards St. Petersburg. You can see the gusts are kicking in. As of right now, the most recent forecast is guessing that here in Orlando vicinity, we're probably looking at 75 to 85 mile per hour winds. Some areas are probably going to land at some areas are going to land at the 100 mile per hour winds here in Orlando. They are saying that there will be flooding all over the place because the rain's coming down. They're expecting us to get between 10 and 20 inches of rain. Our yard is graded pretty well. I'm kind of hoping that that keeps the water out of our house, but I guess we'll find out. And we'll keep you updated. 8:15 p.m. I know it's pretty dark and kind of hard to see, but wind is relatively calm right now. But a moment ago, it really kicked in, and we heard a very loud rumbling noise. It wasn't thunder. I'm not sure what exactly it was. But the rain is still coming down. Very wet. As I'm saying this, the wind is really starting to kick in all of a sudden. Whoa, there we go. Yeah, that's windy. Went from nothing to really something just now. Being about 8:30 p.m., we still have several hours before this thing really gets to us. We're probably starting to see the second band show up. They're saying maybe at this point, between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, we should see the biggest portions. So we'll continue to update. Starting to see a lot more flickers in the power. Look, there you go. There's another one. The power is flickering like crazy the last few minutes. Wow, okay, now it's legit. The rain is coming in sideways, the wind is just howling, it keeps sounding like things are scraping against the house. It is just really beginning to come down. This is where it's starting to get legitimate, folks.
The tornado aspect of this verified. Unfortunately, we had several violent tornadoes, very rare for Florida, even in a landfalling hurricane.
Just to give you an idea, we are in this general vicinity. Currently about 9 o'clock, by the way. It has officially, the storm has officially made landfall down, right down this area.
Very dark red here. That's the northern eye wall, and that's coming in the morning. So the worst weather is not here yet. That starts at about midnight. It'll run through about 12 p.m. tomorrow. So 12 to 12 looks to be the window of the worst weather. We'll see you in a few minutes. We'll talk much more about the hour.
12-hour window. That's something. Well, it's about 3:45, and we just lost power, which is much better than I expected. I know there's not much to see, but that's because the power is out and it's dark outside, obviously. But it's definitely getting windy out there. Wow. Might be the biggest gust of wind I've seen here. Well, not much we can do right now. Power's out. This camera's not that great with the dark. So, I guess we'll see you guys again when something notable or something brighter happens.
Boy, oh boy, so look at this picking up, guys. This is why you shouldn't be on the roads right now.
This is a great reminder that this vehicle is stuck right in the middle. This is why we told you guys you had to evacuate early this morning. So we have got a very distinct rotation showing up right now on the velocity images. This is passing over the Matlacha Bridge. This vantage point is looking from west, looking eastbound towards our studio. So this is going to continue to move over Matlacha, and you can see those intense winds really moving that camera around, and it seems to be getting worse as that rotation is moving right over the Matlacha Bridge.
Wow. Unbelievable.
There was zero visibility at this
just
point.
unbelievable here.
It's getting
Andrew,
worse.
this has got to be it, right?
This is it.
Here we are, 8:30 a.m. Thursday after the storm has blown through. All things considered, I would say we are in pretty good shape. Looks like it shook the limes out of our lime tree. But otherwise, we don't really have much damage that I can see here. I do know that these folks lost a tree. Forgive the bedhead, but I just got out of bed. Kind of laid there for a while, texting people, letting them know we're okay. Thank you to all of you who reached out. Power's still out. We're probably about 5 hours into that so far, but if that's the worst that we get, I would say it's all good. Certainly hear a lot of generators in the neighborhood that are buzzing right now. There are some small trees that appear to be down around the neighborhood, nothing terrible. We're not allowed on the roads just yet, but when they lift the ban on driving, I'll probably walk the neighborhood and maybe drive up the street. There's a couple of things I want to check on just to make sure they're okay. But for the time being, that is the status report. Much better than it could have been. Going out for a little bit of a stroll around the neighborhood right now, and as you can see, the sun is actually trying to come out. It's 9:30 a.m. And boy, we could certainly use the sun. I believe they've actually lifted the driving restrictions for Seminole County maybe about an hour ago. They're still saying to keep off the road if you can, but if you have to go somewhere, you can. We're gonna just hoof it for now. As you can see, there's plenty of little pieces of leaves and sticks and twigs that are on the ground, but considering they were telling us we were going to wake up to 10 to 20 inches of water and down trees, and this is better. This is a lot better. Looks like we got one tree down over there. That's actually the first one in the neighborhood that I've seen toppled. And, by the way, right here is the first car that I've seen. That one right there is definitely a casualty. That's a banana tree. These poor guys, the tornado and flooding made their lawn grow really tall. This area certainly had a lot more debris coming down. I'm not sure what made the difference. It's only a couple hundred yards away from where we started. Here's some of the larger mushrooms I've seen in the yard for a while, and I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more of these mushrooms coming up over the next week or so. I see a tree or two down back there. Nothing terrible, but definitely got a smaller one down. Just made it back to the house. Our beautiful, non-leaky house. Neighborhood looks good, all things considered. Real talk, my parents are in Sarasota and with my brother, and they certainly bore the brunt of this hurricane. I have not been able to reach them yet today, which makes me a little nervous. That being said, I know the power is out, and because of how it came in, I would not be terribly surprised if their phones are just dead or the cell towers are down. But real talk, I'm a little concerned. We'll have to see how that plays out today. Not much that can be done right now, so I think I'm going to fire up the griddle and make some coffee. So for those of you that don't live in Florida and don't have a huge Cuban population or aren't in areas that have a large Italian population, you may or may not be familiar with the mocha pot. The mocha pot is what is going to allow us to have good coffee today. So this is how we're going to work this. I'm going to take a bottle of water, get it in our tea kettle, water secured. We are going to place it directly on the griddle for a few minutes, during which time we take our mocha pot apart. Here are the 3 sections. We are currently playing for an audience of 1. Isn't that right, Wim? Yes. You have things to say, don't you? You have things to say? You're talkative usually, aren't you? Are you talkative? So you don't perform like a monkey, though, do you? No, I know. Seems like we're starting to get a little bit of that sun coming back out, too, which would be nice. The sooner the rest of this moves out, the sooner they can get power restored and life can get back to some semblance of normal. It's Florida. Let's, keep our expectations right about here. All right, looks like the water's about ready. We're going to take the water and fill up our reservoir. Now we will put the filter funnel back on, and we're going to use Cafe Bustelo. We're going to fill the filter about 3/4 of the way up. We're going to watch the pot go skittering across the floor, and then we're going to put it all back together. Leaving the lid open, we are going to place the pot itself directly on the heat. This is not technically espresso because it doesn't use pressure to push the coffee through, but it uses the steam. So it's closer to like what you would get with a Cuban coffee, or at least the base for the Cuban coffee. And yes, it is starting to get dark again. Glad you noticed. While I'm waiting, take a look at this. This is on CNN.com. This is a quick video of Tropicana Field where the Rays play. As you can see, the roof blew off in the storm. Not only blew off, but it just got shredded. Yeah, it's needless to say, it's a loss. It just goes to show you how crazy the storm was. Well, they were right. You just gotta wait a little bit. And as you can see, we are now starting to get some of that beautiful, beautiful dark roast pouring up into the reservoir. We're gonna let it keep going, of course. Get as much as possible because it was that kind of night. But can you see how dark that is? And it's actually getting a little bit of a crema on the top of it like you would with an espresso. Beautiful, beautiful thing. And just in time, because it's starting to rain a lot again, too. It looks like we are just about full. All right, moment of truth. Now, again, if you try this yourself, I need to emphasize, mocha pot coffee is not like drip coffee. It is much stronger, much bolder. Handle with care. A little faux pas, I have added the non-dairy dry creamer and some monk fruit sweetener because, power outage means dairy is a bad thing. But that is very much a win. Next step for our little camping day, we've got our iGen 160S. I used this a little bit last night to keep a couple things going. Got it plugged into a solar panel we picked up that is specifically made to charge things like this. So I'm not sure if this is going to be enough sun to do a whole lot, but I guess we're about to find out together.
Stay on the line to hear the menu again. For more information, visit sarasotasheriff.org. Presione el número 2. To reach the Sarasota County Correctional Facility,
Okay, just spoke to the Sarasota Police Department, Sheriff Department. They're going to do a check on my parents and my brother just to make sure everything's okay, because it has been, well, let's see, it's almost noon right now, so it's been about 18 hours since their phones went down. Things are probably okay, I would imagine. Power is definitely out to much of the area. Some of the phone lines are down, but cellular is off for a small group of people, and it could be them as well. It could just be that they don't have power on their phones, but they're going to send somebody over just to make sure. It's better safe than sorry. Check-in time. It is now about 10 after 2 p.m. on Thursday. Heading out. I'm going to see if I could find any fast food restaurants that are open. Guessing probably not, but we're going to take a look so my kids can get something other than hurricane snacks to eat today. And we definitely have a few more casualties over here. But I figure it'll be a good chance to kind of see how the surrounding area has done. As you can see, there's definitely a lot of debris on the road. There are not, however, a whole lot of cars out on the road, which is, not unexpected. Got the local Kia dealership over there. It's kind of weird to see all the cars that were in front of the building are gone. They certainly have all the cars on the side like they usually do, but all the display models are gone. Looks like McDonald's is in fact open. Burger King looks to be open as well. The last time we had one of these storms, the Chinese restaurants and the Mexican restaurants seemed to come up a lot quicker than everything else did, even more so than the fast food restaurants. Strangely, that storm wasn't great, but it wasn't as destructive as Milton was. So it's kind of unusual, let's say, to see that the fast food restaurants have come back online so very quickly from a noticeably stronger storm. Looks like Dunkin' Donuts and Wendy's are both back open. I think the Dollar Tree might actually be open, which surprises me. Grocery stores seem to be doing okay. It'll be interesting to see if Publix is open. Publix is very employee focused, so I would not be the least bit surprised if they stay closed today. As I'm driving, I'm looking through the trees and the buildings and the sides of the road here and there, getting glimpses of little lakes, and they do seem very, very full. Looks like Wawa is open, but they don't have any gas. All the gas pumps are roped off. Got a sign business over here and a Cuban sandwich business that have been boarded up, but they look like they're open. Just went by the local Target. They are open. Publix is open. Japanese restaurant, not so much. But all the Mexican and Chinese restaurants I've driven past appear to be open so far. I was told years ago during the northeastern power outage of 2003, when a large portion of the eastern seaboard all the way out to, I want to say it was Detroit, went without power for several days. Careful when you eat out at several restaurants who have been out of power for very long periods of time. Sometimes they serve food that may have spoiled. Not trying to gross you out, but once you hear something like that, it's hard not to keep that in mind. Looks like the local Ross, Beals, Aldi, pretty much everything in this plaza is shut down for the day. Little creepy out here. Little creepy. So no huge shock. Looks like of the fast food restaurants, Chick-fil-A is staying closed today, while most of the other fast food restaurants are now open. Pulling up on Wendy's and Popeyes. Looks like Popeyes is not open. Wendy's is. As you can see over there, there's somebody sleeping in the doorway of the Popeyes over there. This isn't usually a big area for that type of thing, so I'm sure there's a story there. But as you can see, Wendy's is very popular right now. They are completely surrounded by lines of cars trying to get through the drive-thru. I have to say, compared to what everyone was expecting, the damage is actually relatively light. I've seen some trees down here and there. There's obviously a lot of debris, but I've not seen damaged buildings, and they were certainly calling for that. So, with that being said, I am going to start heading back towards what I've already seen to be open and wrestle up some food for the kiddos. Look at the pumpkin patch over here. I wonder if they had to pull all those pumpkins up yesterday. Every time we go through one of these storms, my wife and I say that we're going to get a generator or solar or something like that, and then we don't do it. They're pricey. There's just no way around that. They're very expensive. This might be the storm, however, that makes us just kind of bite the bullet and get that generator. I've been by a few Starbucks. They all seem to be closed today, too. And here we are, waiting in line for McDonald's drive-thru. As you can see, it is rather packed right now. We're going to be here for a little bit. Did forget to mention, about an hour ago, I spoke to the Sarasota Sheriff's Department. They told me they did check in on my family in Sarasota, and they didn't have much information other than they apparently went and did a stop and knock and said that everybody is safe and sound. So that is definitely a big relief. It'd be a bigger relief if I knew what exactly was going on. There was no real information as to the condition of the area, whether or not it was flooded, what general schedule we might be looking at to restore power and communications. But they said that everyone is accounted for and healthy and in good condition. So while I am still waiting to actually hear from them, I'm feeling much better than I was a couple of hours ago, at least. So that, in the grand scope of things, is the big thing. What do you think of these Santa Cruzes, by the way? They started to pop up here in Orlando about a year and a half ago, and have sort of just kind of fallen off. I still see them once in a blue moon. I'm of two minds of them. I like the fact that they are a little smaller and easier to park. I like the fact that they are much more affordable than a lot of trucks are, but the back is small and isn't overly useful. Looks a little odd as well. Speaking of odd, the Happy Meal toy or prize right now is a collection of McDonald's branded Crocs keychains. That's also odd. Also, speaking of strange things, heading back to the old homestead right now, and I just got a call from my mother. They are okay in Sarasota. Things are good, so I have now spoken to family to confirm that everyone is good, and on my end of things, that makes things a lot easier to just kind of settle in and relax and enjoy the fact that with no power, the expectations of the day are slim. Wow, it looks like there may actually be a gas station with some fuel over there. Wow. And there's some standing water. Oop, looks like we have another casualty over here. 4:30 p.m. Thursday. You can probably hear the generators charging away in the background. It's getting a little warm in the house, nothing too bad, but certainly wouldn't mind the power coming back on right about now. I've got the power boxes trying to charge off of the solar, but admittedly that's not going terribly well at the moment because, as you may or may not see, it's getting just a little cloudy and overcast again. But I figure we have maybe one more hour of decent power coming in through the solar panels today before it's just going to be too dark to really do much, so we'll get what we can. Well, good morning. It is 9 o'clock in the morning on this beautiful Friday morning in October. We still don't have power. It was a little bit of a long night. Florida can get a little warm at night when you don't have fans or air conditioner. But compared to what a lot of people have gone through and are going through, it was not bad. It was just more of an inconvenience than anything else. But yeah, they are now saying we may have power back by this evening, which would be absolutely fantastic. Give you a couple of quick updates. As you can see, the skies are looking much, much better than they have for the last several days. It is, for us, it is relatively cool. We are in the upper 70s right now, as opposed to the 90s, which is where we've been on a lot of things recently. As you can see, things are quiet and still, other than the sound of generators all over the place. As of right now, there are dozens of confirmed fatalities from this particular hurricane. Most of them seem to, thus far at least, be attributed to the tornadoes that broke out. And strangely, even though the hurricane entered through the Gulf Coast, it looks like a lot of the fatalities are actually on the Atlantic coast, which is something that a lot of people were not fully expecting, but that's the way that these things work, obviously. We just finished a delicious breakfast of pancakes and sausage cooked on the griddle, and if no other silver linings come from this, it has reminded me how delicious a breakfast in the morning cooked on the griddle can really be. I definitely need to start doing a lot more of that again. The planes are starting to fly again, which is great. A lot of the airports in Orlando and throughout all of Florida have been closed. I don't know if you can see that little plane or not, but small plane going by over there. But yeah, they shut down a whole lot of the airports in the state because a lot of them sustained damage, and they had to take some time out to make sure that they were safe to bring planes in and out of. So looks like most of them are getting the green light to go today. We're starting to see limes 2 days after the storm really start to pop up, very green, very full. Apparently they enjoyed the water, if nothing else did. We have some herbs growing here, which is funny because we did not plant the herbs. They just sort of took over. So here's the game plan as it stands right now. Like I said, still no power, still no air conditioners, still no hot water, nothing like that. So it won't be a normal day, but we are going to do what we can to make it as normal as possible. That means bringing a lot of our stuff back out onto the patio, doing a lot of cleanup, getting the yard back into shape. I'm starting to put away all of the preparations that we did for this hurricane to begin with, so that if and when the power comes on this evening, we can kind of go back to some semblance of normal. And at some point, I probably need to edit this video rather than just going on and on. But, you know, I wanted to show what a day in the life of a hurricane traveling Floridian. I don't even know what you'd call it. Survivor? It seems a little strong, doesn't it? Especially when the skies are this blue and this beautiful. Let's call it a hurricane prepping, hurricane liver thrower. Let's not call it that either. Let's just say that I wanted to show you what it's like for a typical Central Floridian going through the prep for a hurricane, the hurricane itself, the post-hurricanes period, and then kind of just showing you what the real experience is. And here is everyone's favorite part of the power coming back on, throwing away everything in the refrigerator and freezer. Well, there you go. After 4 days of hurricane, we are starting to see a little bit of normalcy. If you haven't done so already, I sure would appreciate a thumbs up and hit subscribe button if you feel so inclined. We don't usually do home-based vlogs. In fact, I almost didn't do this one. Feels weird to kind of go into the personal life so much, but especially moving into 2025, I want to make sure that we're showing a lot more real life. Usually we do things like small towns, historic cemeteries, cruises, events, things like that. So if you're into those types of things, definitely hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you come with us. And if you are into the home-based vlogs, let me know down below. If you want more personal stuff, I can definitely pepper some of that in to steal a quote from a mutual friend. In the meantime, I appreciate you being here. I hope everyone is doing much better after these last 2 hurricanes have come through. If you haven't already done so, please take a look at the American Red Cross and see some of the things that they are in need of, desperate need of, as they try to help the literally millions across the U.S. that have been impacted by these storms. And until next time, we will see you when we do just a little more sploring.